My name is Joan Urban, and I'm the worship associate this morning, and part of the team that is working to record and stream this service to you wherever you may be. We are an inclusive congregation that welcomes you as you are, inclusive of all your identities, complexities, and situations. We welcome your whole self, even if it isn't fully assembled, because we recognize that we are all works in progress and that we are all in this together. And now it's time for our opening affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. For these high purposes do we unite in worship. Today's chalice lighting has been provided by the International Council of Unitarian Universalists. Daniel Faria, a Brazilian lay leader, wrote the words. We light this chalice as a symbol of faith, hope, and love. To face the shadows, a chalice of light. To face iniquity, a chalice of justice. To face falsehood, a chalice of truth. To face evil, a chalice of goodness. To face disharmony, a chalice of beauty. May your brightness, manifestation of the infinite light, bless our hearts, our spirits, and our lives.
Welcome. Welcome to this day, this hour, this place, this body. Together, let us answer a call to love. Together, let us create a thing of great beauty. Together, let us find the sacred in the spaces in between. Together, let us worship. Welcome. And now, here's a story for all ages. Children, come a little closer. It's a Nasruddin story, and you know how much I love Nasruddin stories. If you don't remember, Nasruddin was a wise man or maybe a fool. I'll let you decide. One day, Nasruddin decided he had to go to the marketplace. It was going to be a big day. So he hitched up his faithful little donkey, little sweet gray donkey, and he called his son, "Come, I'll take you to the market with me." His little boy came running, and he picked him up, put him on the donkey, and the two of them set off towards the market. They had gone a little ways when, as they passed some people, one of the people said, "Would you look at that? Children these days, that perfectly healthy boy making his old father walk. On a hot day like this, that poor old man looks like he's about to have heat stroke. Children these days." That made the little boy feel kind of sad and ashamed, so he slid off the donkey. He said, "Daddy, you should ride the donkey." And Nasruddin, trying to make his son happy, climbed up on the donkey. So they went a little further, with Nasruddin on the donkey and his little boy walking alongside. They passed by some women who were working in a field, and one of the women said, that lazy old man making that poor little boy walk in the dirt on a hot day like this. Some parents. Now, Nasruddin felt a little embarrassed by that comment, and so he just lifted up his boy and set him on the donkey with him. And now the two of them rode the donkey for a little ways until they passed by some other people, and one of those people said, "Look at that, two perfectly healthy people riding that poor little donkey. Why, the poor little thing looks like it's about to collapse under their fat butts. The cruelty of some people." Now, both Nasruddin and his son felt kind of embarrassed because they didn't want to hurt their donkey. They loved their donkey. So they got off the donkey. Nasruddin wondered if maybe he should carry the donkey for a while, but then thought better of it. So he just took the donkey's reins in one hand and his son's hand in his other, and the three of them all walked on in towards the market village. Just as they were walking into the village, they passed by some men, and one of the men started laughing. Would you look at those idiots? Don't they realize they have a perfectly good donkey they could be riding? Some people have no brains at all. Ha! As they passed these men, Nasruddin finally just stopped and told his son, "Son, this is an example. Everybody has an opinion and is really ready to share it. But you cannot please everyone. So, don't make all of your decisions based upon what other people might say." Here's what I'll say. I miss you. I hope you're well. I hope you had a good week with lovely things to eat, and I hope that you're excited about all the things that are happening in your life. I want you to know I love you so much, and I miss you, and I look forward to when I see you soon. Be well.
Our fellowship has a mission. Please join me in saying these words. Our spiritual community lives courage, nurtures wonder, inspires justice, includes all.
I will light a candle now for all of the joys and concerns which are held in our hearts, yet not expressed. Let us take this moment to follow our breath into those places that we might have rushed over all week. With each breath in, I invite you to go deeper and find that part of your own center that needs attention. Breathing in, breathing out. The thin morning sunlight and the slanting afternoon sun do not warm the air. The dark, chilly nights come quickly and winter approaches. And yet, there is a glow at the center of the all that is. The soil is filled with seeds and dormant roots. Each tree branch is filled with tightly furled leaf buds, drooping under snow. Growth is waiting at the center of the all that is. And here we are, warming ourselves in one another's light, finding peace at the center of the all that is. Breathing in, breathing out. Blessed be. Amen.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion to imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world we live is one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will live as one.
The reading today comes from A Chosen Path, an introduction to Unitarian Universalism. It is a retelling of the Buddhist parable of the elephant and the blind men, followed by a brief commentary by Forrest Church. A group of seekers were devoting their life to reflection upon the great religious questions, such as, does a person live again after he or she dies? Or, what is God like? Since each of them had come up with different answers, they often got into furious arguments. I'm right and you're wrong, one would say. No, you're wrong and I'm right, another would reply. To solve these disputes, they presented their beliefs to the great teacher Buddha, who would tell them who was right and who was wrong. He answered by telling them this story. Once upon a time, there was a king who asked his servant to bring him all the people in the town who were blind, and also an elephant. This is an elephant, he said to them. Each one of you may touch the elephant, and when you have done so, I want you to tell me what an elephant is like. He let one touch the elephant's head, another its ears, and others its tusks, trunk, legs, back, and tail. Your Majesty, an elephant is like a large water pot, said the one who had only touched the elephant's head. Your Majesty, he is wrong, rejoined the one who had touched the ears. An elephant is like a flat basket. The others insisted as adamantly upon the insights drawn from their own limited experience, respectively comparing the elephant to the sharp end of a plow, a thin rope, a big crib full of wheat, 4 pillars, and finally, a fan. Upon finishing this parable, Buddha said to the seekers who had been quarreling over the nature of God in the afterlife, "How can you be so sure of what you cannot see? We are all like unsighted people in this world. We cannot see God, nor can we know what is going to happen after we die. Each one of you may be partly right in your answers, yet none of you are fully right. Let us not quarrel over what we cannot be sure of." One truth with a big T, many truths with a little t. One God, many faiths. One light, many windows. This is why we number as one of the sources for the living tradition we share, wisdom from the world's religions, which inspires us in our ethical and spiritual life. Among other things, it reminds us to be humble, especially when we are sure we are right. The parable of the elephant and the blind men.
Woohoo! We are on the other side of the election, and many of us are still burping up turkey, and with the promise of a vaccine on the horizon, many of us have good reason to be thankful, maybe even a bit sassy with gratitude. However, some of us are still a little queasy, a little uneasy, because we are quite aware of how many people voted to uphold a kleptocracy and who are now turning mean because their candidate lost. And some of us are a little queasy, a little uneasy, because so many of our neighbors attend churches that actively preach and teach intolerance of anyone who prays differently or doesn't pray at all, including, if not specifically, us as Unitarian Universalists. Some of us are a little queasy, a little uneasy, because many people in our communities have put their hate out on display for about 4 years, and that toothpaste is out of the tube, and we can't just pretend like it was all a bad dream. Especially here in Amarillo, where on any given day, an assortment of hates have been proudly snapping in the breezes like so many flags hoisted on pickup trucks. The day after the election, a neighbor just got right up in my husband's face, mockingly congratulated him on his candidate winning, and then kind of rolled her eyes and growled about end times. It's enough to make any of us a little queasy, a little uneasy, as we wonder how to keep going on. How do we love the hell out of this world when so many people want to hate us? There's so much damage, so much woundedness. There's a lot of healing that's going to have to take place throughout the rest of my lifetime and beyond. Where do we begin? Let's begin with some stories. Story number 1. Once upon a time, a person came into a congregation, and immediately everyone became nervous because this person was dressed differently and spoke differently. Oh dear. This person was wearing a costume. To some people, the costume was intimidating and provocative, and others noted that the costume was probably more like armor or camouflage for certain places. But remember, it was just clothing. It wasn't behavior. And the cloth of the clothing did not violate the congregation's covenant, and even wearing the clothing did not violate the covenant. But still, the costume made a lot of people really nervous. The person wearing the costume had been wearing it for so long that it would have felt strange for them not to wear it. It would have felt like peeling away their skin too much too soon. And other than wearing the costume, this person conducted themselves in perfect accord with the covenant of the congregation and sought to participate in the life of the congregation. Another person came in and saw this new person and immediately became angry. Why were they letting in this person wearing those clothes? He shouldn't be here, but make that person leave. She was so angry, she left and declared that the rest of the people who stayed were hypocrites. So what should the congregation do? Change their covenant to make wearing costumes a problem? Welcome the person in, but tell them that they had to wear different clothes? What if that person doesn't have different clothes to wear? Very tricky. Eventually, some people began asking questions of the person and their costume and listened to them. And some of them learned that this person didn't even believe all the things about the costume anymore, but hadn't figured out how to not wear it. And they learned that this person loved coming to be with them and loved hearing their new ideas and loved hearing that they had inherent worth and dignity. And the woman who left because she hated hate, we're not quite sure what happened. Metamorphosis is never really easy. Butterflies make it look easy. I mean, cracking open the chrysalis, spreading out the damp new wings, and then taking flight. But before that can happen, the caterpillar has to go through a really thorough metamorphosis. Once inside a chrysalis, the caterpillar's body basically dissolves into a goo with just a few key organs intact, and then the goo carefully rearranges into a butterfly. What happens when a person goes through a radical change from one way of being into another? What happens when a congregation goes through a metamorphosis, changing from one size, one way of being, into another size, another way of being? I suspect that there might be some goo involved. Here's another story. One day, after the worship service, a person leaves the sanctuary and hands the minister their name tag. I won't be needing this anymore. I'm not coming back. The minister wonders, what just happened? Weeks later, the minister has the chance to talk with the person and heard what had happened that morning. The person explains that during the service, someone lit a candle and spoke about how angry they had felt at seeing a person driving a truck waving a Confederate flag. The person with the candle said that they'd felt like pulling that driver out of the truck and punching him in the face. Yeah. We're all feeling stressed and frustrated at times. The minister remembers that moment and keeps listening. The person who'd handed in their name tag continues. When I heard that person talk, I realized I don't belong at this church. You see, a few years back, I would have been the person in that truck. The guy with the candle wanted to punch the person I used to be, and I just didn't feel welcome anymore. The minister's heart breaks because they realize that we had failed. We'd failed one another. We had failed one another again. You see, this person who had left had been in the process of growing, of transforming, was no longer one way but not yet another way, and hoped to find a place where they could do this work in the presence of love. Instead, they were reminded that they had been wrong, that they were imperfect, that they were not perfectly progressive enough to be among perfect progressives. What about you? Do you only go to the hospital after you've fully recovered? Do you only take your car to get gas when the tank is already full? What about our congregation here? Do you only show up to worship when you have enough money in your bank account, enough letters after your name, enough philosophical wisdom, and you already know all of the names of God? Is that when you're finally ready to come in to worship? Is that what folks are aiming to do here? Is this how we will love the hell out of this world? Being perfectly progressive? No. Because first we have to love the hell out of one another before we can expect anyone else to put up with us. We have to learn how to love the hell out of our individual hearts before we can expect it from anyone else. This is terribly, terribly hard work. It requires actually loving rather than hating. It requires trusting rather than fearing. It means drawing others in closer rather than drawing more lines of separation. It's terribly, terribly hard work. And how do we begin? I'm a great believer in the wisdom that Theodore Roosevelt once shared. Do what you can with what you've got, where you are. Well, what can we do? What have we got? Where are we? We're in the middle of the Texas Panhandle where the wind levels us all, and it's pretty darn obvious that we are small beings in a large world. We are living just up the road from a nuclear weapons plant and just downwind from some cattle feeding operations. We are in the middle of the Texas Panhandle, surrounded by really generous people who've already contributed some $1.5 million to the Panhandle Gives campaign that launched this week. If you haven't already given and are able even to give a little, just go to the website, Panhandle Gives, make a donation to local charities. This is where we are. Well, what have we got? Well, as members, as friends of this fellowship, we've got each other and a covenant of how we will treat one another in good times and bad times. As Unitarian Universalists, we've got principles that start with reminding us that the inherent worth of dignity of each person, and that end with reminding us that we are all interconnected. And hopefully, we've got a good sense of humor and some deep humility about the paradox of being religious liberals in an illiberal area. This is what we've got. So, what can we do? We can always do better. Do better by one another and our neighbors. We can and should always start with ourselves and work our way outwards. We can join with our religious neighbors, grounded in our shared love of this world and our love to one another, and then create the only heaven we're actually concerned with, which is the one available right here. We can start humbly, make mistakes, reflect upon them, adjust, and then go make some more. We can welcome in people whose past was not perfect, and just to make this a place of transformation rather than congratulation. We can always begin again in love, again and again and again, for this is our work. May it be so. Blessed be.
As many of you know, we are in the middle of our annual pledge drive. Throughout the month of November, each service has included a Why I Support the Fellowship message. This Sunday's message will be a repeat of the message given by Carolee Clay last Sunday. Her words are very much worth hearing again.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carolee Clay, and I have been asked to give the stewardship moment for this morning. We are in the middle of our pledge campaign, and as you know, you've been hearing, it's important that we can all think about what we're giving for 2021. Now, I think it'd be amiss to not acknowledge the crazy year that we're in right now and how hard it has been on a lot of people. I'm going to tell you, for my family personally, we lost one income for 8 months. We accumulated a large amount of medical debt. So we've had to pull back our giving this year. And I think I just want to demystify that. I know that's happened for a lot of people, but as we're fortunate that our situation is starting to look less dire, and we're looking at how we can try to get closer to fulfilling our pledge for 2020 and how we can expand our giving for 2021. Why I give, I think I may flip that on its head a little bit. I give, but it's not because I agree with everything that goes on in this congregation. I give, but it's not because I get all of my needs met, or even most of my needs met by what happens in this congregation. I give, but I don't see it as I'm the customer and the church is the product. I try to avoid transactional thinking in my giving to a church. I give because I feel that the Amarillo Unitarian Universalist Fellowship is essential in Amarillo. It's essential in the Texas Panhandle. And I need it to succeed way past when I'm gone. This life-affirming faith of Unitarian Universalism and this amazing history of this congregation is essential. It's vital, and it needs to continue, even if it feels like that it's kind of staggering at the moment. I also think it's important to note that it's not how much you give. It's important to give what you can, but we're a democratic congregation. It's in our 7 principles. Nobody who gives more money gets more say. So even if you can only give a little, know that it doesn't make you any less worthy. It doesn't make you any less valuable to this congregation. And on the flip side, if you give more money, it doesn't mean you get more say. That's one of the beauty of our congregation. That's one of the beauty of the UU faith. We all get one vote, and we all get a chance to see how this place survives into the future. And as I said, I want to see it last another 70 years. So also, since I am the chair of the Leadership Development Committee, I want to talk a little bit about time and talent. It's also really important this congregation survives on the vast majority of volunteer hours. So if you have time, talent, and want to find a way that you can offer that to the congregation, give me a call. I'm in the directory, or April can find me. But let's talk about that too, because it's vital and we need that as well. Thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful holiday. I look forward to being with you all again soon.
At this time in our service, the congregation makes its financial offering. If you have made a pledge or would like to make a contribution, you can simply mail it into the office, or you can make it online. There is a donate button on our YouTube landing page and on our website, uuamarillo.org. On the home page, in the upper right corner, you will find a blue donate button that will take you to a place where you can donate securely through PayPal. If you have made a financial pledge for this year, please keep up your pledge. While we are not meeting in person, our groups are still meeting. Please check the announcement slide at the beginning and end of this service and look in your weekly newsletter for details and links. We keep mentioning our newsletter, but if you don't yet receive it, that's not much help. To be added to our mailing list, simply go to our website, uuamarillo.org, go to the news section and click on the subscribe button and sign up. Now it's time to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
If you would like, please join me in stating the closing words of our service. May the fellowship of this hour touch and move our lives until we come again together.
As you go out into this world, please take these simple words with you. You are lovely. You are loving. You are loved. Blessed be. Go in peace.